Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Axiom Insights Learning and Development Podcast. I'm Scott Rutherford. Today we're doing something very different. We're bringing you a conversation between two longtime business partners as produced for another podcast, the Manaya Learning Global Solutions podcast called the 5-Minute University. And so without further delay, here's our rebroadcast of the conversation between Dr. Guido Manaya, CEO and Chief Learning Officer of Manaya Learning Global Solutions, and Axiom Learning Solutions President Herb Blanchard, with 5-Minute University podcast host Dario Manaya.
Hello again and welcome. We are back today discussing instructor delivery services. Today we have Dr. Guido Manaya, CEO and Chief Learning Officer from Manaya Learning Global Solutions, as well as a new guest, Herb Blanchard, President of Axiom Learning Solutions. This episode focuses on a large-scale case study on instructor delivery. Stay tuned to learn more. Hello again, Dr. Manaya, and welcome, Herb Blanchard, to 5-Minute University. Dr. Manaya, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dario. It is a pleasure to be back along with my great friend and colleague, Herb Blanchard. Herb is the president of Axiom Learning Solutions. Herb, you've built an impressive learning services firm, and it has been a pleasure to partner with you over the years. Tell us a little bit more about Axiom.
Thanks, Guido. Yes, we have known each other for quite some time. I believe now it goes back to 2004 in many projects over the years. So glad to be on with you. Thanks for the time. So yeah, let me share a little bit more about Axiom. Axiom exists to help learning organizations succeed. That's simple. We do this by mobilizing the right learning experts to respond to our clients' needs. So in many ways, Axiom is the partner that the learners don't see. They see the learning programs that we produce, they see the results of the work, but they don't see us all the time doing it. And to be candid, that's somewhat by design. We support our clients' learning programs in a few key ways. First, as a staff augmentation firm, we identify, we vet, we certify, and we place learning experts into client learning teams where they work alongside the client's own staff. It's a seamless placement that allows our clients to seamlessly scale their capabilities and to add the specific capabilities and expertise they need for a particular learning project. Secondly, we're a provider of learning services on a project basis, which can mean anything from updating, a client's existing learning content to creating new learning from scratch, starting from identifying needs and scope all the way through delivery and assessment, or supporting a company with a complete functional outsourcing of their learning project, what's called business process outsourcing or BPO. But however we scope our support for a client, Axiom supports our client's organization and their brand, and that's why learners usually don't see us, they see our work.
That's a great overview, Herb. You and your firm have helped, so many large organizations over the years. If you think back, what was one of the larger projects that focused primarily on instructor delivery?
Wow, that is a great question, Guido, because as I'm going back, there's been quite a few, and many you know about, right? But I think the client case that comes to mind is a top client of ours in the financial services, the wealth management world. And I'm not going to name names where we have relationships with our clients, we have NDAs with our clients. And as I mentioned, that's what we're about. Being that partner they can rely on. It's why we typically don't announce who we're working with. Our role is to support our clients and set them up for success. So in this case, let's just say we're working with one of the world's largest financial services companies, Fortune 100, operations in more than 40 countries. We were brought in to help with the training for their specialized field office staff. And it was a BPO engagement. They needed a partner with the ability to scale and reach their staff wherever they were located, to provide learning around the company's launch of a new and company proprietary software system. And that's a common ask for us, Guido. Axiom was one of several companies asked to provide a bid for the work. And after a competitive selection process, we were selected, very proud to be selected in this mission critical initiative. We provided over 35 trainers, plus a dedicated project manager, dedicated resource lead, onboarded the training team through an intensive 3-week train the trainer program. Most of it was designed around aligning trainers to different geographies to support specific geographies, because this was an ILT engagement. We worked in a floating bench to make sure if there were any issues or sicknesses that we had people to call on so we could rapidly deploy to support variable needs or in response to, again, unexpected events.
Wow. That was a large initiative. What kind of training was involved?
The trainers provided structured training and support to, as I mentioned, the field office staff, rotating from branch to provide the training. Multiple delivery modalities were employed on a number of topics. It was categorized as systems training, Guido, but the training also included a behavioral change so that the teams would improve data collection on client accounts, it's really interesting because a lot of times we do systems training, it's just systems training, but by collaborating closely with the client's internal training team, our resources and trainers will be able to deliver a program which developed proficiency among all field personnel in less than 5 months.
That is impressive. And I'm sure securing the right talent is always the real magic. So how did you go about securing the right talent for this client?
Yeah, I think, as you know, we have a large network of instructors and a well-established recruiting and vetting and certification process. So the rigorous vetting process to get the right talent is sort of a two-step process. First, we're building this network of entrepreneurs, right, who are independents that are going into each engagement and performing, right? If they're not performing, that's not good, right? So we're picking the best of the best. They're entrepreneurs. They have 15 years of experience, usually at a minimum as contract trainers. So they get into the pool, and then we're matching from the pool to see who best suits the right engagement. So now you're matching the right talent with the right engagement. So much of the vetting is actually done in advance, and the real magic is the matching. And fortunately, based on our pool, we were able to pick a big team that had both the experience in financial service training systems as well as behavioral change for that new system.
Well, that sounds like a well thought out, airtight process to find the right team members for the right client project. Usually, we always see some unforeseen challenges on any project. What kind of challenges do you recall facing, and how did you all solve for them?
I think the really only thing is the uniqueness of finding the right instructor who can also teach to the desired behavioral change. I would say that was the only minor challenge. A lot of times it's really about end user adoption, and that's it, getting people to know how to use the new system. But the new system gave them ability to do their job different. So we were able to bring in people who could help them change the way they did their job. But again, through our large network of instructors, we were able to solve for this.
And when you think back at the feedback you received after the project from the client, what kind of feedback did you get?
Very positive feedback, very happy with our performance, the performance of the team. They saw improvement. They received the results they were looking for. They used level 3 and up to level 4 evaluations to confirm these results.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing your insights on a large scale initiative, Herb. One last question that comes to mind. That sounds like a large, as you mentioned, like a business process outsourcing opportunity. Do you see, from what you're seeing in the marketplace, do you see that kind of outsourcing has increased in the industry, decreased, or stayed about the same?
I think while it's still happening, there's been a slight decrease. And I think a lot of organizations are out-tasking in sort of, not the best terminology, but kind of chunking it up a little bit and having, instead of one large BPO approach, they're out-tasking and having certain aspects of what they need go to certain specialists. That's what I've been seeing for a while. So it's still there. It's not at the level it once was. And those are the reasons people have decided to look at it from a more of an out-tasking perspective. That align with what you're seeing?
Yeah. And I recall as you shared that explanation, right? That's sort of how we met. We were in a very large outsourced scenario when our team moved over to Accenture. And then that's where we met, as we needed to find other ways to support clients within the Accenture structure. That's how we met. So glad to see that you're not only continuing this for clients, but also very glad to be collaborating with you on some new clients.
Yes, I thanks for the opportunity, Guido, and thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. And as I recall back to how we met, Dario was a lot younger back then, wasn't he?
I'm sure I was.
Yeah, just a little bit. Turning it back over to you, Dario.
Well, thank you both for joining the show and sharing about this case study for a large-scale instructor delivery project. In our next episode, we continue the conversation on instructor delivery services with another new guest, focusing on leveraging an instructor marketplace portal. Until next time.
Our thanks to Guido Manaya and Dario Manaya for sharing their podcast with us. If you'd like to learn more about the 5-Minute University podcast, we'll have a link on the Axiom Insights podcast episode page at axiomlearningsolutions.com/podcast. Thanks for listening.